Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa, Club 2500, District 6110. Today in history is full of pop culture and significant inventions. In 1851, Isaac Singer patented the sewing machine, and we all thank him for that. In 1877, Thomas Edison recorded himself reciting "Mary Had a Little Lamb" on the newly invented cylinder phonograph. In 1908, the first Model T rolled off the assembly line in Detroit. And on this date, in 1939, The Wizard of Oz had their world premiere in, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. And why Wisconsin? MGM did not feel that the public would test well in LA for this premiere. They thought that the soft launch would be important because it was very futuristic and they didn't really think it would be successful. While the movie has generated $36 million box office gross, the re-imaging and properties tied directly to the original movie have cleared over $435 million. So we're glad they did a soft launch. On August 12th, it's also International Youth Day, recognized by the United Nations, observance to celebrate young people and focus on world issues like education and work. And to begin today's program, past President Del Dreyer will deliver the invocation and pledge, followed by guest introductions by Alan Wayland.
Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you again for giving us a day to come together as Rotarians, an opportunity to make new friends, strengthen our existing relationships, and increase our service to our community and to the world. This is the time of year when students and teachers return to classrooms throughout our state. As they do, instill in the students the desire to learn and increase their knowledge of language, math, science, and other subjects that will make them productive workers when they graduate and enter the careers they have chosen. We also ask your blessing on the teachers as they work to instruct the students, helping them to mature into productive and responsible adults. We thank you for the food and fellowship we have enjoyed today, and together we say, Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. We have a number of guests today. When I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing, and we'll hold our applause until the end. Joe Moran has his wife, Darcy. Our speaker has as his guest Jesse Guarduca. Guardiola. It's not very clear on the printing. Did my best. Margaret Disney has Tim Disney. Allison Anthony has Nick Kindle. Jazz Craig has Justin Christian. John Croissant has Angel Copian. Tony Otto has Sarah Otto. We have an honorary member of the club, Ebony Johnson. And we have several prospective members, Diana Denny, Rob Dooner, and John Taylor. And we have a visiting Rotarian from the Downtown Oklahoma City Club, Elizabeth Inbuddy. Hi, Elizabeth. Welcome again, and thank you, and we hope to see you again in the future.
We should have a slide from Eric Ortega, every Rotarian, every year. There we go. So Eric is our International Service Director, and a reminder about the Rotary Foundation's fundraiser, Every Rotarian, Every Year. Eric will be sharing more in the coming months, but he is, as you see, slipping a slide in every week until he gets up to talk about it. Contributions are invested and then used to support district and global grants that fund sustainable, high-impact projects around the world. So what an amazing couple of weeks we have had. Our inaugural Fifth Wednesday service project brought over 40 participants, including some of our newest members, prospective member Grace, and many past presidents, numerous longtime Rotarians together. Thank you to everyone that joined us in processing and labeling more than 1,000 books for the Celia Clinton Library. Talk about creating impact. Chairman Brian Jackson coordinated the book drop-off and pickup and welcomed 2 representatives from Celia Clinton Elementary, Mr. Brandon Smith and Miss Shanista Lunsford. The event was a tremendous success, filled with fellowship, fun, and meaningful service to our community. We truly demonstrated what it means to be people of action, supporting education, and our partner in education, Celia Clinton. So thank you to everyone who came out on our Service Above Self Day. On August 5th, we had the privilege of welcoming Rotary International President-elect Larry Lunsford and his wife, Jill. Larry shared an inspiring vision for Rotary's future, eradicating polio, building a more peaceful world, improving the lives of those in need, and achieving steady, sustainable membership growth. These first pictures I took from up here because I was so impressed with the crowd. Larry's presidential initiative focuses on basic education and literacy, very tied into today's speaker, making our recent service project particularly meaningful. In his honor, we donated the book Cannonball, which was also sent to Larry and Jill, so that they can remember our club while sharing it with their grandson Griffin and future grandchildren. It was so wonderful to see so many Rotarians from neighboring clubs join us for this special occasion. And as Larry reminded us, Rotary is a great place to spend time. Indeed, it has been an extraordinary couple of weeks for the Rotary Club of Tulsa, and I am grateful to be part of the community, the club that continues to make such a positive impact in our community and around the world. And I will point out that Larry asked me while because we sat last week down with everyone. And when Sophia, our international inbound student, was introduced, he asked me to take him over, and it was very important that he got a picture with her. So, and I sent that night the pictures to he and his wife. So thank you all for showing up last week, and especially our inaugural Fifth Wednesday. So at this time, the show starts now. Please join me in giving a warm Rotary Club of Tulsa welcome to our Sergeant at Arms, Kenny Brown.
You got the song down, huh? Okay, you can download it on Spotify now, for those of you that we play it in our house often. So last week, if you were attending, Larry Lunsford, kind of name dropped that he was going to pitch for this game and that game, and Karen and I both were kind of like, really? So we pulled some strings, and I'm happy to report that in between his trips flying internationally, he was able to throw out the first pitch at his first Savannah Banana game last week. No, I'm kidding. That was all AI generated. But yeah, we can clap. Everybody was like really impressed that we know these people. Yeah. All right. One of the things that I vowed as when I became Sergeant of Arms, because I've been a member of this club for a couple years, is what it is that we raise money for every week that you as Rotarians so generously donate to. And I know sometimes for me as a Rotarian it can be confusing because there's Rotary International and there is the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation. So I thought it would be great to just talk about a little that since inception, this is since 1972, the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation has returned more than $6 million to our community. Those funds have helped support nonprofit educational initiatives, youth leadership programs, international service projects, and many other efforts. Programs like mentioned, Partners in Education with Celia Clinton, Elementary, Camp Enterprise, and Crescendo Music Awards. And for those of you who know, I'm a huge Jesse Cole fan, and his quote I thought was so appropriate for this, that says, "Legacy isn't about how many people know your name, it's about how many lives are better because you were here." So thank you to all Rotarians who contribute week in and week out to the foundation and all the work that you do there. Before we finish, I do want to recognize we have an anonymous donor who wants to recognize a Rotarian who has shown up each and every week, who has demonstrated service above self, fans first. So this week we'd like to recognize John Hamill. Did I say that right? He just left? Okay, so he just left, so we're gonna make sure everybody emails him how, I saw him sitting over there. Okay. Well, obviously we know he gives so generously of his time and talent each week to play the piano, and his music always warms our hearts. And so just want to, they're so thankful that our Rotarians are giving anonymously to highlight Rotarians in our group who sometimes don't always are playing behind the scenes. So thank you for that. Yes, thank you. And finally, we want to congratulate Matt Davis' 71st birthday. Yes, we can go ahead and clap. And in memory of his best friend, best brother-in-law, Joe Robson. So thank you, Matt, for your contribution and your generosity. Thank you. So I just want to say again, thank you again for all of your support for the Rotary Club of Tulsa. I do want to mention, though, because it happened today, I actually was in Oklahoma City yesterday for a board meeting, and I attended the Rotary Club of Tulsa, or Rotary Club in Oklahoma City. We had a great speaker, the person who heads up the Tinker Air Force Base. It was a really great program. But they did introduce me as our Sarge, and I realized my name I did not write clearly. My name is Kenny, but it does look, according to my wife, Canary. So I was announced yesterday. So if anybody hears from the Oklahoma City Club, we really love your Sarge, Canary, just go with it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kennard. I'm going to change my introduction for you next week. John Croissant has been a dedicated Rotarian since 2018 and is the owner of John Croissant Allstate Agency. A former teacher and soccer coach, he continues his commitment to public service as a member of the Tulsa Public Schools Board of Education and a director of the Oklahoma State School Boards Association. Continuing his commitment to public service, John is currently the Democratic nominee for the U.S. House of Representatives in Oklahoma's 1st Congressional District. John is a graduate of Jenks High School and the University of Tulsa. He and his wife, Deb, have a son, Hayden, who will be attending TU this fall. You don't look that old, John. Well, to me, but I did have eye surgery, so. Please join me in welcoming our Rotarian of the Day, John Croissant.
I guess I don't need those. Okay, so today I am going to be introducing our speaker, Lyndall Fields. He is our state superintendent of Public Instruction for the state of Oklahoma. He is a former Tri-County superintendent of schools. He is a father of a current Tulsa Public Schools student. And so for us, this is a big opportunity to get to hear about the improvements that are going on at the state of Oklahoma. Lyndall came in, appointed by Governor Kevin Stitt, just in the last year. He's made some big improvements that I've been able to see as a school board member at the state, and I can't wait to hear from him on the things that are going on here in the state of Oklahoma and how we're going to keep improving outcomes for students in our state. So with that, come on up, Lyndall Fields.
Good afternoon. Recognize this? You ever pull into the gas station and have one of these on the pump? Isn't that frustrating? You know, if you're a business owner, and I suspect many of you are, the last thing you want to ever have on your pump is out of service. But if you're a customer, it's equally as frustrating. And I suspect from time to time, educators, schools across the state felt a little bit this way about the State Department of Education. Sorry, out of service. Not because we wanted to be, but because things happen. So why would you see a cover on a pump out of gas, not working? One of those two reasons. Regardless, it's very frustrating. So when you think about a gas pump, I like to think about the State Department of Education, the organization that I have the opportunity to lead as a gas pump. Let me explain. We serve 500 plus school districts in the state of Oklahoma. It's our job to ensure they get the fuel they need to be successful. Some of those cars are Pintos, some are F-150s, some are Corvettes. The State Department of Education is not going to make those cars go any faster or run any better. It's just our job to be the catalyst, if you will. But if we'll back up before that, it's the legislature's job, in my opinion, to provide the gas to the pump. And we've got to make sure the pump's working good. So when you think about the legislature providing gas, I'm not asking for premium. I'm not asking for jet fuel, just a steady supply of gas to the pump so we can supply the cars the fuel they need so they can take care of the students. Simply, that's our role. So today I'm going to share with you how we've gone about that over the last 10 months, give you a little insight to the conversations I've been having with schools over the last couple weeks as they start the new year, and then give you a little bit of information, data of things that we're doing at the agency that I think you'll be quite interested in. I'm glad to be with you as Rotarians. I'm a former Rotarian as the president of the Bartlesville Rotary Club many years ago, so it's good to be home with all of you today. So I think it's important when you're leading an organization that you have a system of how you run that organization. I want to share that system with you today. It's the leadership flywheel that we've implemented at the State Department of Education. So my role is not only to lead the agency, but be the leader for the entire education system. And now as the Secretary of Education, to be the policy person for education in Oklahoma. So as we think about how to run the agency, the leadership flywheel works like this. It starts with communication, then relationships, alignment, execution, and capacity. Now, I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of schools and organizations as a leadership consultant. And we always use the leadership flywheel. And what I find almost every time is that organizations are doing their best to execute, and they're spending a lot of time executing. And folks get burned out. And the problem with execution is there's a limit. It's like bench pressing. You can only bench press so much. The premise with the leadership flywheel is when you back up and start with communication, this gets easier. So if you get communication right, then you can build relationships. Relationships allow you to align, then execute, and build capacity. And it's my hope that we have capacity ready for the next superintendent when I leave in mid-January. So what does that communication look like? Well, I'll back you up just a few months. When I came to the State Department of Education, I learned in the first week that we were disseminating 62 newsletters monthly. 62 newsletters monthly. Now, I know one educator in the room, but I won't put Dr. Johnson on the spot. But when I have a room full of educators, I'm like, well, how many of you were reading those newsletters? Any guesses how many hands went up? Yeah, maybe a couple hands came up in the room. You see, oftentimes we confuse dissemination of information with communication. So when you disseminate too much information, it begins to fall on deaf ears. So we went from 62 newsletters to 0 overnight. I cut them all out. And you would have thought the world was going to, I thought my tenure at the agency was going to last 1 week. Yeah, it really upset some folks because that was their identity. And so think about that. Folks were doing their best, but it was a compliance mentality. I send you an email, you don't respond, it's on you, right? So that's compliance. We're requiring things. We want to be customer focused, so much so that some of you in the room can remember when we got full service gas at the pump. Remember that? I want the agency to provide full service gas at the pump. So we had to go through this communication opportunity, then building relationships. I've now, this is somewhere north of 130 groups that I've had the opportunity to visit with. So building relationships, and now we're getting aligned at the agency and across the state. What is it that Oklahoma education should look like in the future? The fact of the matter is we don't have an answer for that. We don't have an answer for that. We work really hard every year at designing plays. So if you're a sports fan, you run plays in football or baseball. We run a lot of plays, and they're good plays, but we don't have a goal to win the World Series. Does that make sense? We just run plays. So we're working on alignment, then execution, and capacity. So that's the system we've been using at the State Department of Education, and so far, I believe so good. But the thing that I want to spend a little bit of time on today is share with you the message that I've been sharing with schools across the state. Last week I had the opportunity to help schools kick off, some call it convocation or school events, and talk with the teachers and the administrators about the school year. And it usually goes something like this, because they're really excited. Some have bands and cheerleaders, and in Broken Arrow, the superintendent rode in on a moped. Dr. Johnson, are you going to do that?
Maybe a horse.
Or a horse or a Harley? You do a Harley? All right. So, these are fun events. So we get pretty excited, and I say, is there anything better than the first day of school? And they kind of wait, and they're like, the last day of school. right? So the last day of school, and I said, well, that's what I want to talk to you about today, that time in between. And I want to share a little bit of that conversation with you today, because I think it's valid for all of us in life. It's that time in between. So in education, we have the great benefit to start over every year, to start anew, right? We start the school year. The school year starts pretty good. Teachers get excited. Administrators are excited. We make it to Labor Day, and just toward the end of September, we're like, good gracious, is Thanksgiving going to get here? And then it's Christmas, and that time, educators will tell you, between Christmas and spring break is damn eternity, right? So we get to spring break, and we're like, can we ever get to the end of school? These kids are off the chain. And so we sort of begin to wish our lives away, right? Because we're waiting till the end. Summer gets here, we get refreshed, and then we kick off the new year. And this is important to me because several years ago I made a decision to quit wishing my life away. Quit saying, how often do we do it? Where does the time go? Where did the time go? And I did pretty good about not wishing my time away until 3 years ago. My daughter got married, and I was doing the father of the bride speech, and I started to get a little bit emotional, and I said, oh my gosh, where did the time go? It just seems like yesterday she was this tall. So I fell off the wagon there for just a moment. And by the way, Jordan is having a baby in 6 weeks. My first grandbaby's coming, so we're pretty excited. Well, thank you. Fields House, yeah. We're pretty excited in my household. So I talk to educators about wishing the time away and spending every moment with the children and the families who entrust their hopes and dreams to the educators. And by the way, I don't believe there's anything more noble than being an educator, someone who gives themselves to help others' lives be better. And I've thought that well before becoming a superintendent. And in that conversation, I share with them 4 what I call ways of the tortoise. Now, ways of the tortoise, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a riveting speech today, right? The ways of the tortoise. In fact, if you've ever played that game with your kids or your grandkid, where you're like, what kind of animal do you want to be? In the history of mankind, nobody's ever said a tortoise, except me. And here's why. It's not because the tortoise is slow. We all know the fable, the tortoise beats the hare, right? The tortoise is consistent. Consistency leads to relationships. Relationships lead to trust. Trust leads to influence. And there's nothing, and leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so the 4 things I share with educators that you also might appreciate are these things, the 4 ways of the tortoise. And the first is listen. And I think Gandhi said it best. When we speak, we say something we already know. When we listen, we might learn something new. Or maybe for some of us simpler folks, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right? Listen more than we talk. And then that's sort of a setup to the next one. Do what you say what you mean, and don't say it mean. As we get frustrated with our youth, and I know we all have, I think there's one place we need to look, and that's as us as adults. And it's probably raw for most of us right now because of the campaigns that are going on across the state. Do what you say what you mean, don't say it mean. I encourage people to be gracious. And so how can we be gracious? Well, we can do that in a multitude of ways. Number one, we can send an unexpected text message, or my favorite is a handwritten note. Anybody receive a handwritten note lately? Yeah. How does that make you feel? Feels great, right? And when I'm in an education environment, I say, who remembers that last handwritten note they got? A few hands go up, and I'm like, well, what was your last raise? Nobody can ever remember the raise, but they can remember the handwritten note. And I'll share the same story that I've shared with these groups over the last couple of weeks with you today about handwritten notes. So this is a habit that I've had for many, many years. I've sent thousands and thousands of handwritten notes. And the thing about a handwritten note is not only does it recognize someone for something they've done, it intersects someone's life. If you do it often enough when they need it the most, life can be hard sometimes. But one of my favorite, as we have a school board member in the room today, as a former superintendent, I had the opportunity to go to the State Department of Education, the education department that I now lead. And so this particular case, I was going because I had to defend my accreditation. And I use the word defend probably too strong of a word, but you have to go answer questions. Accreditation is a big darn deal, so you have to go answer questions. And so I went up to the State Department that day to answer questions, and I was in the restroom there, and I was washing my hands, and in walked a State of Education board member. His name is Brian Bobeck. So, you gonna know Brian? Brian Bobeck, great guy. So he was on the board back then, and he's actually on the board now. And I had not met Mr. Bobeck, so I turned and said, well, good morning, Mr. Bobeck. I'm Lyndall Fields, superintendent of Tri-County. And he said, oh, I know who you are. And I said, oh, and he says, I think about you every day, which was odd in the restroom. And I said, oh, really? Why is that? And he said, when I was appointed to this board, you sent me a note. It was the only one I got. And so it's on my desk, and I see it every day. Even a full-grown man who'd been very successful appreciated that note. I go on to tell educators to take the high road, and primarily we focus on social media and what social media is saying to our youth and to our society as a whole. And my rule for social media is really, really pretty simple, and I think if we would all subscribe to this, we would all be much, much happier. My rule is if you wouldn't say it to your neighbor's sixth grader, don't put it online. Now, why do I say neighbor's sixth grader? I don't know about you, but I'd say something to my own sixth grader what I wouldn't say to my neighbor's sixth grader, right? So those are four ways of the tortoise that we've been sharing with educators across the state. Listen, do what you say what you mean, don't say it mean, share notes of grace, and then take the high road, and then wish them the very best with the school year. So that's the message that I think is resonating pretty well. What I want to segue into now is to share with you some of the things that we're doing, give you a few numbers of the breadth of the organization and how we're trying to impact three initiatives in particular. Number one being around teacher recruitment and retention, what we're seeing that works and what doesn't work, some of our initiatives, an initiative around literacy in our schools, and then finally career pathways. But to set stage, I think it's important for you to kind of have an idea of what we have in Oklahoma. About 550 school districts, 692,000 students, 44,000 teachers, 70 or 90,000 educators in the state. So we've heard for many years that getting teachers in the classroom is really, really hard, and that's very, very true. So what can we do to better recruit teachers into the classroom? Well, if I were to ask you to list something, well, let's just do it for fun. What are the main reasons it's challenging to get teachers into the classroom? Pay, money. Anything other than pay or money? Dealing with parents, discipline, 100%. Class size, right on. What else? Safety. Mm-hmm. Safety of the teacher. Feeling, 100%. That's a big thing. So those reasons are really important, but there are really more reasons why teachers leave, not why they don't come. So teacher pay in Oklahoma is near the bottom. There's no doubt about that. The legislature did put $2,000 into the minimum salary schedule for first-year teachers. I think that does provide a barrier to entry for teachers. After teachers have been here for a while, we rank 37th in the nation and second, believe it or not, in the region. So it is a bit of a barrier. Retention of teachers is our much larger problem, although it's about 10%. For most industries, we would be happy with a 10% turnover rate. So the problem is not quite as challenging as some might think. but I won't ask you to raise your hand. So how many of us have encouraged our children to be teachers? So there's one that raised his hand. Thank you, sir, for that. Right, we don't hold it in as high esteem as we once did, but we're starting to see that. We're starting to see that come back. So what are we doing differently? In my opinion, it's purely anecdotal, and I can only give you a couple of examples, but the recent examples, Broken Arrow Public Schools teacher recruitment fair this year had over 200 people attend. Last year it had 50. So what's different? Thank you for what you do. We appreciate you. That doesn't pay the bills, but that goes a long way. So as a community, expressing our appreciation to those who teach our children goes a really, really long way. So in that vein, we have a program called Grow Your Own that allows schools to help develop teachers that come into the profession. We have a certification option, and we hear a lot about, how many have heard of emergency certifications? Yeah. Do you think, what comes to mind when you hear emergency certification? Is that good, bad, indifferent? Pardon? Unqualified, yeah, maybe. So I tend to think that Oklahoma could lead the nation in attracting industry professionals to the teaching industry. The standard way of teachers getting trained is a way of the past. This idea that kids graduate from college or high school, go to college for 4 years and enter into teaching is not the case for most. So attracting professionals from different sectors in the different professions, an accountant to teach math, those things are going to continue to happen. So we need to make sure we're training those folks the best we can. Because a lot of people think they can teach, right? So we need to equip them with pedagogy and other things. Grow Your Own program does that. This year we launched a Teach Forward program where folks can go to college to get the provisional certification for free. We have about 300 folks involved with that. One of my initiatives was Oklahoma Educator Launch Mentorship Initiative. We got a $2 million appropriation from the legislature to launch this, so teachers can get trained. They go for training 2 weeks or a week in the summer, and they have a mentor throughout the year. That greatly increases teacher retention, and they get a $2,500 stipend for going through that program. We have 465 folks in that program. So working to keep teachers is what we really need to focus on. And then literacy. Who's been hearing about literacy? Yeah. Oh, one person? Oh, okay. How about, have you heard the Mississippi Miracle? Yeah. So that's getting a lot of attention. The Mississippi Miracle, we call it a marathon because, a miracle you can't explain. A marathon means you train and it takes a long time. The Mississippi project started many years ago with a $100 million philanthropic investment. So it's gone pretty well over the years. So there's a whole southern surge. So our legislature funded this quite handsomely this year. It's a pretty good bill, about $50 million into literacy. We've hired 20 coaches that will be working with schools, but it's just the beginning. There's about 1,100 elementary schools in the state, and we're touching just a couple hundred of those. But ultimately, we will have literacy professionals in every elementary school, and you'll begin to see that those literacy rates, I think you'll begin to see those improve. So that's what's going on at the State Department. So we've come a long way. As I wrap up here, I'll kind of share with you some things that have happened over the last 10 months. It's been my goal all along to really clear the runway, build a solid foundation for the next superintendent. The solid foundation is not sexy. It's not pretty. 5 years from now, everybody will forget who built that foundation because hopefully there will be a nice, beautiful home built on top of the foundation. But in order to do that, we've had to do a lot of work. We had a lot of fires to put out. Day one on the job for me, I had 88 open records requests. 88 is a mammoth amount of requests. Our daily average is about 2 right now. So we've taken care of that. I inherited 22 lawsuits. We've got that down to about 7 lawsuits. I wanted to get them all done before we leave, but some of these lawsuits take time. We're currently sitting at about 375 FTE at the agency, which is about where I think we need to be. It was at an all-time high of 411. This is about the 2019 numbers, and we're currently operating a $5.3 billion budget. So that equates to about $12,000 per student in Oklahoma, which puts us right near last. But I think we've got some encouraging things on the horizon. So that's what I've been working on over the last 10 months to sort of steady the ship and prepare the State Department for the next superintendent. So I think I'll leave you with that. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thanks, everybody. We can take a couple, 3 questions if you have them.
The teachers' unions, do they help you attract and retain the teachers? The teachers' unions.
Do they help attract and retain teacher unions? I don't know. I couldn't speak to that. I can tell you I've had a few conversations with teacher unions in Oklahoma. They've been fine, but I couldn't say that they help recruit or retain teachers. Luann? Yes. So last week, the governor, well, it's been a few weeks ago, but the governor asked me to serve as Secretary of Education. It was formerly held by Secretary Dr. Dan Hamlin, who went to be the Dean of Education down at the University of Texas. And so it's 5 months. So not traditionally, in the past, the state superintendent has served as Secretary of Education. So it just made sense. So think about the secretary as kind of the policy arm of education, the superintendent, the execution component. So I'll be doing both of those for the next several months. So I was honored, pretty excited, Luann, to thank you for bringing that up. A friend all the way in the back. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Darcy, for your service. Appreciate that. Right on. Yes, sir.
I was the one that raised my hand. I have 3 kids that went into teaching and were thrilled to do it. Are all looking to retire now.
Right on.
And the problem is that the command and control has continued to go up the escalator from where they get money. I think the most positive public service that President Trump has done is to disband the Department of Education. I would also suggest that they put a 3-year ramp to take away federal money and let the states do it. I had a maid man, a good example of a teacher's worth in the classroom is a maid man that had a young man that likes to screw around. He doesn't like to do school very much. But she let him do what he really enjoyed doing.
Right.
Turned out to be pretty decent. Walt Disney.
Oh, wow.
And my kids, when they went into teaching, were able to influence the children according to the children's own abilities and interests. Now it seems to be robotic, and they feel like they're at the bottom of the hill and rocks are being rolled down at them.
Yeah.
And all that COVID did is exacerbate that, because you had a bunch of bureaucrats.
Right.
Federally and at the state
Yeah.
didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, let me go ahead and address the first part of your question about the federal money. So the disbanding of U.S. Department of Education, that's a real thing. Very much in that circle, it's communicated with us almost daily what's going on down there. How that affects the state, it doesn't affect the state at all. The bureaucracy at the federal level, at the state agency, isn't that significant. They are putting different agencies, different departments with different agencies. The idea is it would streamline services. From my perspective, it's not significant. I will tell you that the school I led is the only, I believe, public school in the nation that completely eliminated its dependency on federal funding. We did that many years ago, and our progress went through the roof. It's a tall task, but it currently represents about 11% of the state funding. 11% significant, but the federal Department of Education has been really, really good to work with over at least my tenure. So, thank you for your children teaching. Yes, sir.
Superintendent,
yes,
for being here today.
my pleasure.
I'm very thankful that I have my sophomore daughter that's joining us today.
Right on.
And what advice do you have for her starting the 10th grade? I'd like to hear it from our superintendent.
Well, thank you for that. So, every morning when I drop my daughter off, I say, work hard and be kind to your friends, right? And so that's probably not the sage advice that you were looking for, but as a 10th grader, I don't know how your freshman year went, but whatever happened, we get to start anew. The opportunity is yours. And, don't let anybody tell you. If you want to go to Ivy League, you can do it. If you want to go to community college, you can do it. If you want to go to work or military, you can do it. Whatever. We have so many opportunities in our country. So set your dreams. Work hard. Be kind to your friends and your parents. How's that, Dad? I got you, my friend. Yes, sir.
From your perspective, is it worth our energy to pursue consolidation for either schools and/or administration in our state?
Yeah, so the question is a consolidation of schools and administrators for the state. There's some opportunities there, but candidly, friends, what folks think that will do is minuscule. So, I hear from time to time these ideas. If we get rid of all the superintendents, if you eliminated all the superintendents in the state and gave those raises to a teacher raise would go up like $1. I mean, it's just not that significant. I'm being a little silly, right? It's not that significant. Now, I will say, Oklahoma has a large number of school districts. We actually are closely related to like Minnesota in terms of land mass, population, number of school districts. So we hear about like Florida has just a handful of school districts, but they have millions of students in each school district. So I think we need to proceed cautiously, right? We have lots of dependent K-8 school districts, some rural school districts where buses pass each other because we have open transfer so kids can go. So I think we need to look at that deliberately, but it's not a panacea. It's not going to save education in my opinion. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's Lyndall's opinion for you. Is that it? Has this been helpful? Good to be with you. Thanks, everybody.
Very powerful, lots to learn. And I will say thank you for taking your time and sharing with us and talking about when time passes. I remember being young and thinking Christmas was never going to get here. And my mom said, just wait till you grow up. And last week I was talking to my office manager, and next week on Friday, we only work till noon, but I have to be there because she's taking off because I'm going to St. Louis for my last banana game of the year. But last week she said, now don't forget, I'm going to be taking off and you have to be there. And I said, yeah, but that's in August. And she goes, it is August. So I don't get it. But the 4 ways of a tortoise, is that yours or is that a known? I can look that up. I will be reaching out to you because I really, I couldn't write it all down. I was enthralled. So thank you so much. So a book honoring today's program will be donated to our partners in education, Celia Clinton Elementary, and today's book is How to Get Your Teacher Ready. Very appropriate. I always do a shout out to Jenny Hammock, but she does an amazing job. I think one of her sons helps her pick the books, but she really works with the programs to figure out what book will apply, and she nails it every week. So thank you to Jenny. Our upcoming programs, August 19th is Gina Stilp. August 26th is a fellow Rotarian from another mother, David Cobb. And committee meetings today, membership recruitment in room 231. Above and Beyond awards are in room 232, and anti-human trafficking in room 233. We'd like to extend our sincere appreciation to our Rotary sponsors for their steadfast support of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. Your generosity is instrumental in advancing our mission, enhancing our programs, and enabling our club to flourish. We are deeply grateful to each and every one of you for your partnership and dedication to making a lasting impact on our community. Thank you for joining us today, for your unwavering dedication to service, and for the many ways that you each contribute to improving the lives throughout our community. We appreciate all that you do, and we're giving you back a little time today, so the meeting is now adjourned.